It's the Shatkin First Down Pregame Show, presented by Dr. Todd Shatkin and the Aesthetic Associates Center, with your hosts, Rich Gaenzler and Dr. Jared Shatkin, and our special guest, Buffalo Bills alum, Brian Moorman. Now, from the Shatkin Sports Network studios in Amherst, here are your hosts, Rich Gaenzler and Jared Shatkin.
Welcome to the Shatkin First Down Buffalo Pregame Show. Rich Gaenzler, Dr. Jared Shatkin. List of greats coming on. Brian Moorman will join us. Del Reed, 26 shirts, part of the Mafia. Of course, we're going to break down Bills, Jaguars on Monday night. And also, of course, now talk about the Bills and the Dolphins. And I got to tell you, man, what a game to have the situation they did with Josh's hand play out the way it did, Jared.
Yeah, I think they called a really clean game. I think the game fell exactly how Buffalo would have wanted it to, with the turnovers. And it almost is hard to say what the offensive identity in that game was. Obviously, it was James Cook with those 3 touchdowns. But it's not like we had a blistering run game the whole game. It just, it kind of played directly into the Bills' hands and almost let Josh get a week to kind of hang out and rest his hand.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't have to play Superman ball. He was clean all night, 0 quarterback hits. Yeah. And I want to get to that because you mentioned James Cook and how good of a game he had. Obviously, he had a terrific touchdown catch and reception with the yards after catch. Beautifully designed play by Joe Brady. But he also ran the ball with a 49-yard touchdown, and then the short yardage went on 4th down. Let's talk a little bit about the O-line. They get no credit, right? I mean, Dion so far, Torrance and Brown have all had penalties called on them. But the 2 question marks in the offensive line that we worried about were 76 and 66. And their names, and I'm not going to mention them now either, have not been mentioned. And think about it. When Cook has run the ball most effectively, where's it been? Between the tackles. Always seems like there's a seam there. Talk about the O-line, especially about Edwards and about McGovern.
Yeah, I think, Edwards and McGovern coming in have it was something that we were a little concerned about in the offseason because Mitch Morse had been such a staple. But, there hasn't been any snap issues, and I think they've been keeping Josh pretty clean up front there. And the tackles, Spencer Brown gets the big contract, and he made a huge block on that touchdown where he outran Jordan Poyer pretty heavily. So it's pretty good to get out of that one in the offseason. But, yeah, the O-line so far has really showed up. Torrance is a starter since day one. Dawkins has always been a staple, but it seems as if even the guys that we're a little concerned about haven't really been an issue so far.
They've been great. And so have the guys that we didn't expect to be great. All of the guys that came in. I mean, Terrell Bernard, for me, when that happened on Monday night, I'm like, oh, my God. Like, this is Aaron Rodgers all over again, but on our side, right? Now we're without Bernard and Milano, and you're like, what are we going to do? Spector comes in, plays great. Ingram and Lewis play great. Cole Bishop even gets some time. And I think that talks to how locked up this team is in terms of knowing what they want to do. I mean, look at the guy. Spector 7th round, Ingram undrafted, Lewis undrafted. Damar Hamlin, who has not missed a tackle yet, 6th round. Ty Johnson, huge catch, 6th round on an adjusted route. Shakir, 5th round. Alec Anderson, who's been a nice 6th offensive lineman. Another depth guy. Drafted deep. I mean, what a job the scouting staff, the general manager, and the coach all together have done putting this team together.
Yeah, and I want to touch on Spector because I think they really didn't miss a beat once he got in there. I know Bernard is outstanding, and yes, we would love to have him healthy. Right now, both of our starting linebackers are not healthy, but Jordan Williams has been playing pretty well in the middle there. He's missed some tackles, but I think Williams and Spector, I don't think you're going to see too much of a difference in the defense. And it seems like our rookie recruiting classes all end up growing year by year and to the point where they're all able to go in and start a game. So it's like Ingram, it's Cam Lewis, weren't even drafted. It's Balin Spector, who starts on the practice squad, and now he goes in games, and he played well in the playoffs last year for us, and he played very well against Miami this week.
And you have guys coming back in the back end. But how do you sit Damar Hamlin at this point? He's playing so well.
Yeah, you can't sit Damar Hamlin right now. He's one of our staples on defense. He hasn't missed a tackle. He's where he wants to be, not getting beat deep. He's keeping everything in front of him, and he is the prototypical safety, and he's doing a great job of it right now.
Very quickly, Von Miller is looking like the Von Miller we hoped he would. Fantastic. Rousseau, Epinesa, good games. We talked about Ad Oliver in week 1 having zeros. He was really effective in that game. But I have to apologize to the Bills. I did pick the Dolphins last week to win that game.
I remember that.
And McDermott and Babbage did a heck of a job, and Brady did as well. Short break. We want to talk about some NFL stuff. Brian Moorman's coming up next. He lives in Jacksonville, so he can give us a really good take on what's happening in Jacksonville and their start coming up to Buffalo. They've been sort of a spoiler for the Bills last couple of years. Brian Moorman joins us next on the Shatkin First Down Buffalo pregame show.
RV shoppers, Myers RV invites you to shop over 100 brands of travel trailers, fifth wheels, toy haulers, and motorhomes from all the leading manufacturers. Myers RV is the largest family-owned RV dealer in the Northeast with over 2,000 new and used RVs in stock. Right now, all remaining 2024 models are being offered at drastically reduced prices. Myers RV has 3 convenient locations in Rochester to serve you. Just a quick trip east on the 90 to save you thousands. Online at MyersRVs.com. Go Bills!
Hi, I'm Dr. Todd Shatkin here with Hall of Fame running back Thurman Thomas.
My family and I have been coming to Dr. Shatkin's dental office for years. The office is beautiful and the staff is outstanding.
Thanks, Thurman. It's been an honor for me to take care of you and your family.
For a Hall of Fame smile, go where the pros go. Dr. Todd Shatkin at the Aesthetic Associates Center.
Call today for a free consultation, 839-1700.
All right, we do this at least once a year, and you would think that we did this like 15 years ago because the guy just doesn't freaking age. And I look, before we even started taping, I was like, yeah, you got a little 5 o'clock shadow going on. He's like, yeah, it's all gray. Like, really? You know it. I don't know it.
I get away with no gray hair because it's I'm bald, so
right.
Nobody see that. But the beard does give it away.
Yeah, Brian Moorman looks the same as he did when I first met him, almost 20 years ago. It's ridiculous. And he's down in Jacksonville, and he's one of the all-time Bills greats. He was on the all-50th team as the punter. So what do you look, it's 2 games in, and look, the Bills have looked really good for, I'm trying to do some math here. 7 of 8 quarters, right? They've looked really good for 7 of 8 quarters, maybe the best team in the league, but it's only 2 games, right? Let's not get crazy at this point, right?
Yeah. I was 2-0 a couple times in my career. The joke was always like, all right, we're winning the Super Bowl. But that's not true. You got a long way to go. It's a marathon. And that old saying, it gets old as you're playing throughout your career. And it's, hey, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And you really want to be saying that when you're 2-0 and not 0-2. It's definitely better to be 2-0. And you always see all the statistics, the odds of making the playoffs if you start 0-2 and blah, blah, blah. But you know what? There's always a team that does. And so, these teams, you can't take for granted that the Jaguars are still a talented football team. They're still really good, and they're still very well coached. And I told a friend just yesterday, I said, this could be an early trap game, early in the season, because you kind of like, oh, okay, they haven't started well and played well, blah, blah, blah. Do I think that, Sean would not have them ready? Absolutely not. I think that is not a worry for me at all, but I think it's easy to say something to talk about because you got to get out there and you got to start fast. And I think if you start fast against the Jags, I think they'll get that, oh, here we go again, kind of attitude versus don't let them jump on you.
Josh really hasn't been asked to do much, which is great.
Yeah. But when he does, and when he is, he delivers as always.
Yeah.
And I told people in the offseason, I was like, well, when you have Josh, behind the center, you got a chance because nobody really knew what to expect of the O-line and know what to expect about the defense. And, both have certainly lived up to expectations through 2 weeks. But again, we go back to that marathon. We still got, 15 more weeks. So, and then it's all about how you build up to December and how you play in December and what matters is playing in January and February.
And the other thing too is, how will the players that reacted so well in the Miami game react, especially on the defensive side, the Ingrams and the Cam Lewises and the Balin Spectors of the world? How will they react having to now game plan going into this game, knowing they're going to play like for 10 days instead of knowing maybe a couple of days, or plays literally Balin Spector for Bernard that they're actually going to play. So how they prepare is obviously going to be a lot different than it was probably as starters now. So it'll be interesting to see how that sort of converts into on Monday night.
Well, hopefully in a positive way. I mean, obviously they stepped in, and it is always, you got to have that next man up mentality. I mean, you hate to see an injury like that happen, especially to somebody that's a leader like him. But at the end of the day, somebody's got to step up, and I thought they played really, really well. Now it's just, having more time to prepare can only help. I mean, you don't want to. My old special teams coach, Bobby April, he's, always about like, hey, no think, so don't overthink it. But at the end of it, because I mean, you're here for a reason. So go out and play your game. You played played your heart out on Thursday night and did great. So it's not going to be any different. Just their fundamentals are great and they're coached really well. So I think they'll all be ready.
Who was, or maybe there were a couple of them, the best leaders that you played with? And one comes to mind in Kyle Williams. But I'm assuming there's maybe a couple more, maybe Fitz throw in there. I don't know. But who were some of the best leaders and why were they great leaders that you played with?
Kyle was great. Fitz was awesome because he was just such a great personality. He's easy to get along with. He gets along with everybody. And just people love to kind of rally around that. I played with Reuben Brown. He was a great leader and he went to 8-9 Pro Bowls, so you look up to a guy like that knows how to take care of business. But just played with a lot of great teammates. I mean, you could go down the list, but we had a lot of guys that came through. I mean, Troy Vincent played with us for a few, 3-4 years, maybe 5. He was great on the defense. And I wish we would have won more games because we had some really great guys, really great players.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was part of that. And
yeah.
I've made lifelong friends from that group, and you. And there were just some really, really super talented people on those teams. And, things just didn't work out the way, obviously, that we had hoped for that stretch. But the good news is it's good now. And we can all be fans and we can all root them on and we all are connected to them one way or the other. I understand you're coming up this weekend and you'll be at the Coffin Corner. So look for Brian Moorman. You won't miss it. There's usually a big, big sign with it, right? So you'll be able to find
those
them
guys are
over there.
2004 or something. And I mean, it's like 20 years now that they've had that cut out. And man, my biggest fans and have turned into some great friends. So, try and stay in touch with them as well.
For sure, man. Thanks for doing this. We love you. We'll see you this weekend.
It's apple picking time. When was the last time you bit into an apple? With affordable Shatkin mini dental implants, you can. Stabilize your dentures and replace missing teeth in as little as one visit. You can be you again, only better. Call the Aesthetic Associate Center today at 716-839-1700 for your free consultation.
Are you hungry? Eat. Stabilize your loose dentures with Shatkin mini dental implants.
My self-esteem wasn't where it should have been because I was really, really self-conscious about my teeth. When I walked into Shatkin Dental, I was instantly ready for the residency program. I knew that that is what I needed. I needed the discount. I needed the dentist that was going to fix everything. My self-esteem is already getting much, much, much higher just from starting the procedures.
Call Shatkin Dental Health today at 43 Smile for quality dental care you can afford.
All right, welcome back to the Shatkin First Down Buffalo pregame show. Time to go in the pocket. All right, Sam Castronova, Offensive Player of the Year this past season in the Indoor Football League with the San Antonio Gunslingers. He's been in the pocket lots. And let's talk a little bit about Tua first. Obviously, no one likes to see what happened. And it was interesting the way the play evolved. It was just circumstantial the way it happened. But, man, what are your thoughts on the whole thing? I mean, you've been in the pocket. You've taken big hits.
I think Tua has been trying so long the last 3-4 years to prevent injury, protect himself, that when he does finally decide, oh, I need to put my head down and run, he kind of forgets how to. Because in high school, he came out a dual threat quarterback. But he's got so many injuries, his hip in college and all the concussions in the NFL. Like, you got to know how to protect yourself when you're running. He's running leading with his head. it's just not going to end well. And clearly he got another one. So it's unfortunate. You don't ever want to. I think the game was kind of already over at that point, but you don't want to see that happen, especially because he's such a great guy. But yeah, it was tough to see.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk a little bit about, in less serious fashion, this shirt. What's going on with the shirt here?
Oh, I think Patrick Mahomes and these guys just have a great relationship. That's what kind of led to this today.
You may have seen the meme of Patrick Mahomes and the official actually kissing. I don't know if you've seen that. It's out there.
Did you see the passing chart?
And I heard about the passing chart, but explain to the folks what you're talking about.
Okay, so he was 18 of 25, I want to say, and 5 of his completions were past the line of scrimmage, and either 12 or 13 of his completions were at or behind the line of scrimmage. Incredible.
He has, arguably taken a step back, whether it's Eric Bieniemy not being in there anymore. I mean, that could be a thing, but we're not here to talk about Mahomes, right? We're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about Trevor Lawrence, who, look, in his press conference after week 2, came out and said, look, we suck. And he has not been good. 51% completed. He was, I think, 35% completion in week 2. Obviously, he's an athletic guy. But he's had Evan Ingram go down on him. Christian Kirk hasn't been great. He's had basically one guy to go to in Gabe Davis and obviously Thomas from LSU. But beyond that, and ATN, but beyond that, man, their offense has really struggled. But still, he's a weapon.
Yeah. They're kind of scary offense because I'd almost rather them be playing well coming into this game because now they're 0-2 and they're going to be really needing a win here. But he's been a little underwhelming so far in the league, if I personally thought so. He was such a good prospect coming out of college, and his stats have been very so far. And I couldn't believe they paid him all the money they did, but good for them. But I think it's a little bit of a scary situation. Like you said, they kind of had our number in the past. They're 0-2, so we got to come out and set the tone early in the first half.
Does Doug Peterson lick his chops knowing what the Bills are going to throw at him defensively with all the backups in the back end?
Yeah, he can definitely take advantage of that, especially I think with Milano and Bernard are out. So
Taron Johnson,
Cam Lewis I think has been playing well, but with Spector in there, I think he might try and kind of maybe pick on him a little bit, even if it's ETN going out on some routes and stuff. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Shan did that for Miami, of course, and if we see ATN do it for Jacksonville, it could be a problem. All right, great stuff. Stay right there. The Mafia is right now. Welcome back to the Shatkin First Down Buffalo pregame show. We're joined by the Mafia. I mean, like literally the Mafia, like the guy that invented the Bills Mafia, for real. Del Reed comes back on the show. Great to see you, brother. Good to see you, man.
Yeah, thanks again for having me on.
Tell me about the T-shirt real quick.
Yeah, so this is a design we did a couple weeks ago. Buffalo and football. I'm a bit of a comic nerd, so anybody who understands the reference gets it. We have some other stuff as well, like, talk about it if the time allows.
26 shirts, of course. I want to get into, like, new gear coming out, pop-ups. I know you guys are doing all kinds of stuff, man.
Yeah, busy. There's a lot going on.
And the holidays are coming, and you have a store that's relatively new, right? A brick and mortar that's relatively new.
Yeah, we've been set up on Kenmore Avenue now for about a year and a half.
Yeah.
We're still finding our sea legs with that, but people can come on and check out our showroom, give them a little tour of the warehouse if they want to see it.
Absolutely. Evan's back, of course, from Buff State. Of course, Sam, Dr. Jared, I'm Rich. So let's get into this, and I'll start with Evan. Let's talk about the Bills and Dolphins, obviously. I mean, did the stars not align for the Bills in that game, especially knowing going into the game the issue with Josh Allen's left hand?
Yeah, I think it was the perfect game ultimately. Obviously, it started with the Jamarcus Ingram pick that Tua thrown, and then it just opened up, right? James Cook scoring the first touchdown. The offense kind of found its rhythm a little bit, and then Tua throwing those 3 interceptions, and the defense just took over in this one. Jamarcus Ingram, the defensive MVP from UB, and then the offense didn't really have to do much, but the Bills made a big statement on Thursday night, obviously winning that game 31-10.
Yeah, for sure, Del. So, I mean, it's only 2 games, but the Bills have been pretty good in both of those games. Where are you now? Only 2 games in. I know people are like, Super Bowl or bust. Look at us. We're dominating. We're the best team in the league. I mean, are you on that train yet?
Well, first and foremost, I live on that train. Every year's the year. But, yeah, I mean, we have seen everything we would want to see out of a 2-0 team thus far. So you have the new offense that I think Josh Allen was running really well. I mean, we had like 130-something yards, and they scored, 31 points or whatever it was. And just the establishment of the run game, everything is clicking with the offense. The defensive depth has really shown up. I think that it's starting to feel like Sean McDermott can just pull someone off the street. No disrespect to anybody who's on the defense, but he can just pull anybody in and they excel. We keep having these injuries every year, and we think the sky is falling. And then somebody, steps in, next man up, and they perform.
Yeah, and that's kind of, Sam, what he preaches, right? He's all about 1/11th, and he's all about lockstep with the pro and college scouts, and his general manager is Sean McDermott. I mean, they know exactly the guy they want at every position in this system. It's like a handbook that they've written that seems to always work.
Yeah, I mean, since he's gotten here, he said trust the process, right? And you look at Cam Lewis and Jamarcus Ingram, local guys, but Cam was borderline practice squad, borderline on the active roster the last 3-4 years, and then the last 2 years just special teams, and Jamarcus Ingram practice squad, never really even played. And then you look at now they're both starting on defense, and we're not missing a beat. And then it's pretty impressive what he's able to do with the defense. And you got to give Bobby credit too, because he looks pretty good so far.
Really good. And let's flip it real quick back to the offense, Dr. Jared. How about no one on the receiver? Like, the receivers caught no balls. I think Josh had 13 completions in that game.
Yeah.
And the wide receivers had 2, I think, total in that game.
Yeah, I think it was a pretty situational game plan. Once the turnover battle started to be won by the Bills, they decided that we're going to ground and pound and kind of ride this one out. But I don't have concerns about the receivers because I don't think they were really much in that game plan, to be honest. So I think if you see the type of game plan where we're going to have a passing-centric game plan, I think they'll be able to show up. I think guys like Curtis Samuel can finally show up and do something. But that game kind of just felt like it was in our hands from the start, and they weren't going to let anything go away with. And with Josh's hand injury, I think really what they wanted to do is kind of keep the game simple and get out of there with a win.
Yeah, okay, so before we continue, we got to get some picks for, obviously, Monday night against the Jaguars, who have beaten the Bills in the last 2 meetings, last year and then 3 years ago in that 9-6 game down in Jacksonville. They, people talk about them having the Bills number. I don't know about that, but let's get a score prediction from you three. We'll save ours for the last. Del, go first. Bills, Jags, Monday night. What do you think?
I'm going to say 24-21 Bills. It's a little closer than, logic tells me, but like you just mentioned, they're a little bit in my head in terms of since this franchise began, 1995, 96, whatever it was, they've always seemed to take it to the Bills. So I'm picking a win, but it'll be tight.
All right, Sam, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to go with a little low scoring, like 21-17 Bills.
Okay, Evan.
I think the Bills stay in the 30s once again, but it's going to be close, like you mentioned there, Del. 33-29 Bills win.
33-29. All right, fellas, time to get some Tino's dough from Sorrentino's. $25 gift cards. This year, we're doing crossover, guys. People that have played on both teams for whatever the week the game is. So this week, obviously, Bills, Jaguars. So we'll start here. Just shoot out the name if you know who it is. You ready? Here we go. This guy played 46 games in Buffalo, 109 in Jacksonville. 3-time Pro Bowl defensive tackle. Who was it?
Marcus Stroud.
Marcus Stroud is right. You're eating. Number 2, this guy played 43 games in Buffalo, 31 in Jacksonville. Pro Bowl, 3 years, 17 and a half sacks in 1995. That ranks second all-time for the Bills for single season behind Bruce in 1990 when he had 19. Who's that?
Bryce Paup.
Bryce Paup is right. Del Reed's eating. So this side, it's tipping. I don't know if you noticed that the table's kind of
the younger generation.
Okay, fine. All right.
I'm not that old. Come on.
Finally, college football Hall of Fame linebacker had 151 tackles in his best year with Buffalo. Okay, you got it. Finally, we earned some balance here. Guys, thanks for being here, part of the Mafia. Give some 26 Shirts love.
Yeah, 26shirts.com. We're launching a new shirt every week to benefit a different family. We just opened up something new called The Vault, and it's a bunch of old designs that we're bringing back. So all those limited editions that you can never get again, well, maybe you can get them now.
And for your tailgate, Dill's Mafia.
Dill's Mafia, let's go. Those will be at tops.
Awesome, man. Thanks to have you guys back from the Mafia. We'll come back and talk about the Bills and the Jaguars, myself and Dr. Jared, when we return on the Shatkin F.I.R.S.T Buffalo pregame show.
Wow, what a difference a smile makes. Embarrassed to smile? Call us today for a free consultation.
RV shoppers get the right RV at the right price at all Myers RV locations. Save big with a short drive east on the 90 to any of the 3 conveniently located Myers RV locations in Rochester. Learn more at MyersRVs.com.
It means a lot to be able to work with my dad to continue this legacy that we have going on.
I had many implants. Once I got them, it was like the old me came back.
The changes you can make in such a short period of time in somebody's life have somebody in the chair crying because they finally have a full set of teeth. And I think the only way to do it in that type of time period for that type of price is really the mini implant.
Mini dental implants can change your life too. Call us at 839-1700 for a free consultation.
All right, welcome back to the Shatkin First Down Buffalo pregame show. Wrapping things up, talking about this game on Monday night. Bills and Jaguars. Of course, the Jags 0-2, the Bills 2-0, and Lawrence coming out of their last game basically saying we suck, because they did and have in the first 2 weeks. But they still have a lot of talent, and you wonder, you know, we talked earlier in the show about the last 2 times the Bills have played the Jags. 21 was that 9-6 loss for the Bills. Again, unexpected. They didn't think that was going to happen. Then 25-20 last year. And last year's game, the Jaguars win even though Trevor Lawrence was sacked 5 times. I mean, the Bills did a lot of good things in that game, but ATN had a monster game in that game last year. Calvin Ridley had a monster game last year. You wonder if Brian Thomas could be Calvin Ridley for Trevor Lawrence. And this is the game when they're like, we got nothing to lose and we have to turn our season around right now on national TV.
Yeah, they're playing desperate football for sure. And I think they have too much talent not to have some success against us. If you're the Buffalo Bills, this is probably going to be the toughest game you have so far this year. They had a real nice game versus the Dolphins and let them come back. ETN is definitely a very talented player. Brian Thomas Jr. looks like a stud. Gabe Davis is on their team, and you know he can have a game every once in a while. So I'm more worried about this Jags game than I was worried about the Dolphins game.
Yeah, Gabe is doing what Gabe does. I mean, he's averaging 17 yards a catch, exactly what he did for his entire Bills career. But again, nothing super substantial in terms of points yet. But, you know, he's that guy that they went out and got. In terms of Jacksonville, so far they've converted 5 third downs total in 2 games. Great third down defense. Cleveland was only 2 of 14. They're only giving up 3.8 yards per carry, which is big considering what the Bills have done in the run.
Yeah, I think maybe this is the game we open up the passing offense. On the back end, they've been struggling a little bit. They let Deshaun Watson had a pretty good first half against them, and we know Deshaun Watson hasn't been all that. So I think this could be the game we open it up a little more in the passing game.
Maybe this is the Kincaid game, right? Maybe he breaks out. Obviously, you know, Shakir was the only guy that had significant catches against Miami. Everybody else combined for 1 in terms of the wide receiver. So, yeah, maybe this is that breakout game. Maybe Cook gets a little bit of a break. They feed other people. He stops hogging the dining room table, for God's sake. Let's talk about what you think about this game. Score prediction. Engram, still question mark for the game at tight end. Obviously, he's a big play guy. Christian Kirk's done virtually nothing yet for them. He's got big play capability. What do you think?
So I do think this is going to be a little bit of a struggle for the Bills, but I think they'll come out with a win. I'd say about 24-21 would be a good score for me, but it's going to be back and forth, and I think there's going to be a lot of punts.
All right, I'm going to go. I'll take the Bills at home. National TV. I'll go. They play great on national TV. Technically, the Bills do.
Yes.
Historically. I'll take the Bills 26-16. Kind of a weird score, but I'll go 26-16 Bills. Great job as always. Thank you, man. And thanks, of course, to everyone that was with us. Thanks to you for watching. Del Reed, 26 Shirts, Brian Moorman. Thanks to Aesthetic Associates, Shatkin Dental, Todd Shatkin, Sorrentinos, and Myers RV as well. Bills, Jaguars, Monday Night Football, national TV. Go Bills. Thanks for watching. This has been the Shatkin First Down Buffalo pregame show.
In the Pocket is sponsored by Mini Dumpster Rental. Call 716-429-6362. This has been a production of the Shatkin Sports Network.